So I went to an RSC and did mechanical engineering, and then I happened to get into Ahmedabad directly, which is one big regret. I wish I'd gone to Ahmedabad with a lot more work experience than I did, because I didn't appreciate or take as much out of the course as I would have if I had got some work experience. But anyway, you can't change that, and you didn't have a choice, so I went there. I got out in the middle of the tech bull run and went to the US with a company called IIM Technologies. Spent a year there and came back to India because of an interesting gig with Tag Heur. I actually set up Tag Heur in India as part of the team where the three-man team that was kind of there when Sharon was signed on, etc. But I found that industry a little bit too slow for my liking. So I spent only 6 months there, and then I moved to Kotak. And I spent 6 years at Kotak, which were the most exciting 6 years of my life. Absolutely fabulous time. We went from calling people and saying, "Sir, I'm calling you from Kotak Securities," and people would say, "We already have security companies in our building," and I'm not kidding. That's not a mythical urban legend. That's actually what used to happen. To where Kotak actually has become a household banking name. So I was there when Kotak Wealth Management was 3-4 people, 5 people, and now Kotak Wealth Management probably alone is 200 people across India. And it taught me a lot. And then from there I moved to Edelweiss and spent another 4.5 years at Edelweiss, and that was fabulous because Edelweiss again grew from, I think I was among the last few to get 993, 917 I think was my employee number, and now I think it's in the 8,000 something like that. And Edelweiss was fabulous because it went through its IPO, and I saw a whole different phase of a company where a company went past its IPO and grew, and again went into retail insurance and became much larger than it was when I joined it. So I've seen kind of two organizations in India get built, and I've seen at least how sticking to the basics and just doing what makes sense, what it can do for you in India in markets that are pretty competitive. And so that's what I did when I quit Edelweiss. I think at the very end I was part of a team that was running what was India's second largest hedge fund, and we were raising capital from international institutions and deploying them in India. So I had a fair run of 10-11 years in the financial industry, doing a whole bunch of things from wealth management to institutional money management. I had a stint in asset management where I was working with mutual fund, again within Edelweiss, again in the startup phase. So broadly, that's been my work experience, and I don't know about whether it is easier in the 2000s or easier now, etc. All I can say is that even last year I went out, and the first thing we did, where Deepak and I, who had no technology experience, I sold software for a year, but that can barely count as technology experience. But even last year we went out and actually set up this website and figured out how to get technical help that will manage this for us, etc. And while I don't think it's cutting edge or anything like that, it certainly gets the job done. And I think irrespective of whatever it is that you have to do, whether it's technology or marketing, I think the same common sense rules apply. And I strongly believe that just having your wits about you and wanting something enough will make things happen. So I don't really worry too much, even when people tell me, "Oh, I was getting out to do this." For example, everybody in college told me, "Oh, you're an extrovert, you should do marketing." And if you're an extrovert, you should do finance, because that's where you'll make a lot more money for going out and networking with people. So I think this whole college thing of, "Oh, you're an extrovert, you should do marketing," or "you're analytically oriented, you should do finance." I think the financial industry has a lot of marketing in it, and similarly, if you look at what the Hindustan Levers of the world do today, or a Procter & Gamble does, I think they're very, very analytical in how they analyze, data. So I don't think in every team, no matter what you do, teams now are increasingly more and more cross-functional. So in every team, there will be a space for someone who's analytical, someone who's a people person, someone who's a marketing person, someone who's creative. I think what is important is to figure out which of those are your skills. So if someone is creative, he is creative. You put him into selling a mutual fund and he'll figure out a creative way to do it. If someone is analytical, he's analytical, and you tell him to sell soaps and he'll do it analytically. If someone's good with people, no matter what you ask him to run a hedge fund, he'll figure out how to talk to the right people instead of trying to do the maths. People will do what they do with the best of their skills. It's just about finding out where people are, what they're good at, and putting them where they kind of exploit that or are able to do that. I think round pegs in round holes and square pegs in square holes, if you can do that with yourself, I think that's a very good place to be. Most people have these images. And also, I think the other big interesting thing for me over the last 10, 11 years has been that people who stuck to doing what they like or what they're good at have eventually done very well in life. And people who have forced themselves to go chase after something that's very hot, I think that's been very, very disappointing because they're perpetually chasing mythological sun. I think just do what you do well, no matter what the organization you do with. Most organizations, even at a 10, 11-man organization, we have all kinds of roles. Most organizations have all kinds of roles. Just allow yourself to do what you do well. Don't force yourself into doing things that you don't. I think your family and your friends and your relationships are all not very different from the business that you do, which is that you have to plan for all of these things. And I set my wife up pretty much from before I married her. I had an arranged marriage, and from when I married her, I was like, this is going to be a gig that I have for some time. I'll put away some money, take care that we don't at least starve, and eventually I'll go out and do something on my own and possibly move out of Bombay and move to a smaller town. And so all of these things, I think, are just a function of, I think most family, etc. just don't want to. I think people get flustered. I've seen some people have issues around this thing, and people get flustered when the person is changing his mind all the time, saying, "Oh, I want to do this," and then he goes there and says, "Oh, this is not working. Let me do this," and this is not working, and let me do this. And I think that's what causes, because people make the plans accordingly. Also, it's that whole bullwhip effect or whatever you call it. You say, "I'm going to do this next year," and people plan for that. And then next year, by the time they're coming around to that stage in life, you're actually change your plan. That causes a lot of stress. I think the easy way to answer that is just, so long as people are in the loop, so long as you keep your wife informed, and so long as you keep your parents informed and get their buy-in, I don't think people will stop you from doing anything. I think it's just letting people know. Don't throw right hooks out of nowhere at them and say, "Oh, by the way, I've just come back, I've quit my job because I can't take this anymore." I think that causes a lot of. On the other hand, if you tell them that, "Look, I've got this idea, this is what I'm planning towards, I'm not liking my job," you'll find that they'll tell you, "Why don't you kind of go out and do what you want to do?" So people are very supportive if you also just respect that. And I don't believe that's anything special about me or my family. I think it's universally across the board that that is the case. I went there for one callous reason only, which is that I thought it would help me step up the salary I took home. But I think it was the one point in time in my life where I had some rigor or discipline. I used to be pretty indisciplined. I used to be happy in saying that I didn't really work hard, but I was third in class. And I think IIM Ahmedabad just beat the stuffing out of you, saying you don't have that excuse. If you're first in class, say so. If you're not first in class, don't make excuses and say I didn't work hard. So all through engineering, I think I kind of was a school guy who did very well for the amount of effort it took. I think IIM Ahmedabad just brought that rigor into me of saying, I don't care, don't lie to me by studying at night and saying I wasn't studying, all this. Nothing counts, just the end result counts. If you're high school, if you're top 20, tell me about it. If you're not, don't tell me why you aren't. And it gave me a bit of discipline, which I think has been good stead. It brought a lot of rigor into my life. And I think I just turned up for work every single day after graduating. I think that makes a big difference. Turning up for work, I think, is 90% of the job. Most people just don't turn up for work. They get moody, they get tired, they get sick. I don't think I've taken more than a couple of sick leaves in 10, 11 years of working. And one was a serious surgery and the other was when I was really ill. But in general, if you're excited about your workplace, you will turn up and you will work hard. And just that rigor that IIM Ahmedabad brought, I think, was very useful. The second thing, obviously, as everyone knows, is the network that it gives you. It just makes you meet a whole bunch of friends who go out into the industry, so you can pick up the phone and call or reference a bunch of people. But that, I don't think that changes. I don't think that changes from one college to the other. So Ahmedabad specifically, if you ask me, I think it was the rigor.
After so many years?
Not really. I loved the marketing course. I mentioned Professor Alumnus and Jain earlier. I was fortunate that I was still there when he was taking these courses, and he took marketing 1 for me. So that was great. But more than that, Quotes of the book was one of the most fascinating stories I've ever read. I mean, you can pick up any page and read up. I can't quote anything because I don't remember it, but I enjoyed it when I was there. It was a fabulous book to read. I think the one thing that we keep discussing with our friends is that the worse the environment is when you get out, the better your career is going to be. I think, when you get out, especially if you don't have a job or you find a job that, I was in the batch of 2000, it was a pretty good year, but 1999 and 2001 both happened to be very lousy years. So we were very respectful of the jobs we got. We ended up staying for longer stints, etc. And I think when you get out in good years, you get jobs that, and you get too many offers, and you make decisions that are suboptimal because you sort jobs by salary and things like that, and you say, oh, क्या फर्क पड़ता है कि मैं marketing करना चाहता हूँ, finance भी तो marketing होती है, and then you start doing marketing because start doing finance because it pays you a whole lot more. But I think the people who get out in tough years just end up being a lot more respectful of their careers. I think bull markets destroy a lot of careers, bear markets just make them very, very strong. And so people are getting out in 2012, 2013. These are very tough times, but I think when you come to 2023, you'll be better served than people who got out maybe in 2007 or 2009 when maybe recruiting was a lot better, etc. I think people worry inordinately about campus and the job they get out. It doesn't matter really.